My wife wanted half of everything after I caught her cheating with her ex, so I vanished without a trace and left her with nothing but regret. Alright Reddit, so I caught my wife cheating with her ex using a tracking app she forgot existed, so I documented everything, transferred my assets offshore, accepted a job in Australia, and vanished while she was on a girls' trip. Left her divorce papers and evidence on the kitchen counter. Grab a chair and enjoy the chaos. I, 37 male, have been married to my wife Jade, 29 female, for 9 years. We met at a film industry networking event in Dallas, where I was sponsoring a local indie film through my aerospace engineering firm. She was working as an extra coordinator. She had this way of making everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. We got married after a year. Everything was solid. I was pulling in about $310,000 a year as a senior aerospace engineer, designing propulsion systems for commercial spacecraft. Yeah, actual rocket science. Jade worked as what she called a working actress, claiming she made around $80,000 annually between commercials and background work, though I never saw proof of that. She loved mentioning she'd done a toothpaste commercial when she was 5. Like that made her Hollywood royalty. When we got married, I suggested a prenup. Just made sense given my salary and the assets I'd built up before meeting her. She cried for 3 hours straight, said I was calling her a gold digger, that I didn't trust her, that marriage was about partnership, not protection. Her mother called me selfish. Her father gave me this disappointed look like I'd insulted his daughter's honor. I caved, signed the marriage certificate without any protection. Biggest mistake of my life. The first couple years were decent enough. We bought a house in a gated community north of Houston. Jade decorated it like we were living in a celebrity home tour. When I suggested maybe we could find similar stuff for less, Jade looked at me like I'd suggested we live in a cardboard box. Said she had an image to maintain for auditions and industry events. Her industry connections. That's all she cared about. Weekly brunches with women who spent more on handbags than most people spend on cars. Monthly spa days that cost $500 a pop. Constant shopping trips where she'd come home with bags from stores I'd never heard of, each item costing hundreds. She put it all on our joint credit card. When I asked her to contribute more since she was spending more, she reminded me that marriage meant sharing everything. Her money was her money. My money was our money. Somehow, though, her paycheck always seemed to disappear before it hit our account. Around year 4, things shifted hard. Jade started working late constantly. Said the film industry was competitive and she needed to network more for bigger roles. She'd come home at midnight smelling like expensive restaurants. When I asked about her day, she'd give vague answers about auditions and meeting casting directors. Her phone became permanently attached to her hand. She'd smile at messages she never let me see, angling the screen away whenever I was nearby. Our bedroom situation went from normal to basically non-existent. Maybe once a month if I was lucky, and even then she acted like she was doing me a favor. When I brought it up, she sighed like I was being unreasonable. Said she was tired from auditions, stressed about landing better roles, frustrated that I didn't appreciate how hard she was working. Somehow everything became my fault. I dealt with it by throwing myself into work. 6 months ago, everything escalated. I started noticing charges on our credit card that didn't add up. A boutique hotel in downtown Houston, multiple charges over different weekends, high-end restaurants in the same area, upscale venues, trendy restaurants, places you don't go alone. When I asked, Jade had explanations ready. Said casting directors sometimes wanted to meet in hotel common areas for privacy. Said she was networking at nice restaurants because that's how you make connections in the industry. She even showed me articles about how acting required constant relationship building, making me feel stupid for questioning her. Something felt off. I kept my mouth shut and started paying closer attention. 3 months ago, Jade told me she had an overnight audition scheduled. Some producer from Los Angeles needed to meet with local talent early Saturday morning. Standard story by then. But this time, I decided to check something. We'd set up this family tracking app years ago after Jade's car broke down on a highway, and she couldn't tell me exactly where she was. Just a safety thing. She'd completely forgotten about it. Saturday morning, I checked the app. Jade wasn't at any casting office. She was at that same boutique hotel downtown, the one with rooms that start at $450 a night. I sat there staring at my phone for about 10 minutes. Part of me wanted to believe there was some explanation. Maybe she was meeting someone there. Maybe the audition was nearby. But at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, I drove downtown and parked across from the hotel. Around 10:30, Jade walked out. She wasn't alone. The guy with her was someone I vaguely recognized from her photos. Tall, gym rat build, wearing expensive casual clothes. They stood outside talking for a few minutes, standing way too close. Then he kissed her. Not a friendly goodbye kiss. A full-on hands-in-her-hair kiss. She kissed him back like it was the most natural thing in the world. Then she got in her car and drove away. He watched her leave with this satisfied smile before walking to his own car. I sat there feeling like someone had punched me in the stomach. 9 years of marriage. All the money I'd spent on her lifestyle. I didn't confront her. Instead, I took photos of them together, got his license plate, drove home and acted normal when Jade came back that afternoon, playing up how tired she was from her early audition. That week, I did some digging, found out the guy's name was Tide. He was her ex-boyfriend from college. They dated for 3 years before she ended it to focus on her career. I found his social media, pictures of him at the gym, at clubs, on boats, living that influencer lifestyle despite claiming to be a personal trainer and fitness model. Jade had liked or commented on dozens of his posts going back almost a year. Stuff like fire emojis, comments about how good he looked, inside jokes I didn't understand. I documented everything over the next week, took a few personal days from work and followed them around. Sat in parking lots with a camera, tracked their movements, recorded everything. Got photos of Jade and Tide at restaurants. Video of them checking into hotels together. Timestamps showing arrivals and departures. Within a week, I had everything I needed. I met with an attorney, not a regular divorce lawyer, a specialist who handles high-asset cases where one spouse needs protection. She'd been practicing for 25 years. She confirmed what I already knew. Jade was entitled to half of everything. My affair evidence might make her look bad, but it wouldn't change the math much. Texas law is Texas law. I asked my attorney what my options were. She said, "How attached are you to staying in Houston?" Not very. Why? Because if you're willing to get creative, there are ways to protect assets accumulated before marriage. Legal ways. But they require perfect timing and careful execution. She slid a notepad across the desk. And they work best when you're already gone before she realizes what's happening. I looked at the notepad, started understanding what she meant. How long do I have? As long as she doesn't suspect anything. The moment she thinks you're leaving, this gets complicated. You need to be systematic, methodical, and above all, you need to disappear before filing. I left her office with a plan forming. Right around this time, something else happened. I got contacted by a Brisbane-based aerospace company through LinkedIn. They'd been following my work on satellite propulsion systems and wanted to discuss a senior engineering position. The timing felt like the universe giving me an exit strategy. The job offer was legitimate. 220,000 Australian dollars annually, about 150,000 US dollars. Leading their satellite division, working on cutting-edge projects. Everything I'd want professionally, just on the other side of the world. I had 3 video interviews over 2 weeks. They loved my experience and offered me the position. Said I could start within 3 months if I wanted. Gave me time to think about relocating. I told them I'd have an answer soon. Didn't mention I was planning a divorce. Just said I needed to handle some personal matters first. I started working systematically. First, I began withdrawing cash from our joint account. Not large amounts that would trigger alerts. Just 500 here, 800 there. Told Jade I was trying to be more budget conscious by using cash for daily expenses. She didn't question it because she never paid attention to our finances beyond spending. Over 8 weeks, I accumulated about $45,000 in cash. Kept it in a fireproof safe at my office. I changed my direct deposit to a new account at a completely different bank. Used my old apartment address from before marriage. Told HR it was for security reasons after someone tried to clone my debit card. My next paycheck went straight into that new account. Jade never noticed because she never actually checked our banking. She just spent. My premarital investments and savings needed protection. Through my attorney's connections, I worked with financial specialists who handled international asset protection. Through completely legal transfers, I moved about $380,000 into accounts in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands. Everything was my money from before marriage. Properly documented for taxes. Legitimate protection. Not hiding assets. I sold some stock options that had vested and deposited the proceeds offshore. Left enough in our joint investment accounts to avoid suspicion. Jade never looked at those statements anyway. She only cared about the credit cards. While going through Jade's stuff for the move preparation, I found something interesting in her jewelry box. The Platinum Eternity Band I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary. It cost me $8,000 at the time. 3 small diamonds set in the band. Jade loved showing it off to her friends, telling them it was her grandmother's heirloom ring passed down through 3 generations. Complete fabrication. I was there when she opened the box from the jeweler, but she told that grandmother story so many times I think she started believing it herself. I looked at that ring for a solid minute. Then I pocketed it. Wasn't planning to sell it or anything. Just wanted to see how she'd react when she realized it was gone. I started working longer hours. Made myself scarce. Jade didn't notice or care. She was probably planning her future with Tide. probably already picking out furniture for whatever place she was going to buy with my money. I contacted the Brisbane company and accepted their offer. Told them I could start in 6 weeks. They were thrilled. Sent over the employment contract, relocation assistance details, and visa sponsorship paperwork. I applied for a skilled worker visa using my job offer. Australia's immigration process was straightforward for engineers with employment contracts. Within 3 weeks, I had approval. I also did something else. I transferred the title of our house solely into Jade's name. Sounds crazy, but my attorney explained it perfectly during our final planning meeting. She gets the house, my attorney said, pointing at the property documents. $450,000 equity, right? Right. And a $280,000 mortgage she can't afford on her real income. She'll think she won, but she'll be stuck with debt while you walk away clean. She smiled. Meanwhile, you can claim you already gave her a substantial asset in the settlement. Court loves generosity. And she can't come after anything else? Not if you establish residency abroad before filing. Texas courts have limited jurisdiction over non-residents. Everything gets handled remotely through me. You'll be untouchable. I signed the transfer documents right there. My attorney also helped me establish residency in Australia before filing for divorce. Once I was legally residing abroad, Texas courts had limited jurisdiction over me. They couldn't force me to return for proceedings. Everything could be handled remotely through my attorney. 2 weeks later, Jade announced she was going on a girls' trip to Cancun with some friends from acting class. Said they'd been planning it for months and needed a break. The trip was 5 days, leaving Wednesday and coming back Sunday. Cost about $3,000 between flights, resort, and spending money. I paid for it without complaint. Perfect timing. I checked the family tracking app after she left Wednesday morning. Jade wasn't at the airport. She was at Tide's apartment complex across town. Stayed there for 2 hours. Then her location showed her driving south, but not toward the airport, toward Galveston. I tracked her to a beachfront resort, checked the resort's social media and found Tide's account. He'd posted a story about a surprise beach getaway with a special someone. The background matched the resort where Jade's phone was pinging. I spent the next few days documenting her exact location, while she sent me photos supposedly from Cancun. Thursday morning, 3 days into Jade's fake Cancun trip, I packed 2 suitcases with essentials and important documents. I left the house keys on the kitchen counter. Next to them, I placed a folder. Inside were printed copies of every photo I'd taken, bank statements showing all the charges I'd paid for her year-long affair, and divorce papers, already filed with the court. I didn't write anything emotional, just facts and legal documents. Then I drove to Houston Hobby Airport. I didn't take any domestic flight, flew to Los Angeles, then caught a direct flight to Brisbane. 15 hours of flying. Every mile felt like chains falling off. Before boarding the international flight, I had my attorney officially serve Jade with the divorce papers and evidence. The service would happen Monday morning at our house, right after she returned from her fake vacation. But I'd be gone by then, completely untraceable. When I landed in Brisbane, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. Caught a connecting flight to Sunshine Coast. I'd rented a small house in Mululaba, paying a year up front using offshore funds. The town was perfect. Beach lifestyle, friendly people, far from everything. Jade came home Sunday evening from Galveston, probably still high on her weekend with Tide. She walked into the house expecting business as usual. Instead, she found the folder on the kitchen counter. I know this because she immediately started calling me. 17 missed calls in the first hour. Then the texts started flooding in. At first, they were confused. What is this? Where are you? Call me right now. Then they turned angry when I didn't respond. You can't just leave. This is illegal. My lawyer will destroy you. I didn't respond to any of it. Just watched the messages pile up from my new phone with an Australian number she didn't have. Then she apparently opened the folder and actually looked at the evidence. The calls became hysterical. Voice messages of her screaming, crying, begging. Please call me back. We can work this out. I made a mistake. Don't do this. She left 23 voice messages in the first 3 days. She tried calling my work. Found out I'd resigned. No forwarding information. No way to reach me. She tried my email. I'd set up an auto reply saying I was no longer monitoring that address and all future correspondence should go through my attorney. Included the attorney's contact information. Nothing else. By the end of the first week, I monitored our joint account online. Jade drained it within 3 days. Took every penny of that $35,000. Probably thought she was being smart, getting her money before I could. That was all she'd ever see from me. The emails to my attorney started arriving. Jade's lawyer sent threatening letters demanding I return to Texas for proper proceedings. My attorney responded calmly every time. I was exercising my right to live abroad and would participate in proceedings remotely. I'd already offered a generous settlement that gave Jade substantial assets, including a house with significant equity. Then Jade noticed the ring was missing, the anniversary band I'd bought her. First email came through my attorney's office. My attorney forwarded it with a note saying, "This should be entertaining." Jade's message, "I need to speak with him immediately. He took my grandmother's ring. It's a family heirloom worth over 50,000. 3 generations of women in my family wore that ring. It's irreplaceable. If he doesn't return it within 48 hours, I'm filing theft charges and adding it to the divorce proceedings. This is beyond unacceptable." I had my attorney send back a response. "Please provide documentation proving the ring's provenance, insurance records, and any appraisals, establishing it as a family heirloom. Also provide proof of its existence prior to your marriage." 2 hours later, "I don't need documentation. Everyone knows it was my grandmother's ring. My mother will testify. My sister will testify. He's stolen something priceless from my family and he knows it. This is psychological abuse. He's trying to hurt me by taking the one thing that mattered most." My response through my attorney. "Interesting. I have a receipt from Tiffany dated September 2019, showing I purchased that exact ring for $8,000 as a 5th anniversary gift. I also have the original box, certificate of authenticity, and the credit card statement. Would you like copies?" Radio silence for 3 days. Then she tried again. "That receipt is fake. He's trying to gaslight me about my own family history. That ring belonged to my grandmother Rose, who wore it for 40 years, before passing it to my mother, who gave it to me on our wedding day. The Tiffany story is a lie he's manufactured to avoid theft charges." I had my attorney respond, "Your wedding was in 2015. The ring in question was purchased in 2019 for your 5th anniversary. Your grandmother Rose is still alive and living in Florida according to public records. Would you like me to depose her about this ring?" That one must have stung, because the next email came 6 hours later and was significantly more unhinged. "He's destroying my family by dragging my grandmother into this. The ring is irreplaceable regardless of when it was purchased or who bought it. It represents our marriage, our commitment, everything we built together. Taking it is cruel and vindictive. I'm entitled to have it returned immediately. It's my ring. He gave it to me. You can't just take back gifts because you're angry." My response. "Correct. I can't take back gifts, but I can take my own property when I'm packing to leave. The ring is in my possession." She completely lost it after that. "You have no right. That ring is mine. My grandmother wore it. My family legacy. You're a thief and a monster. I'm posting about this so everyone knows what kind of person you are." My final response through my attorney. "Please do post about it. Make sure to include that your grandmother's ring came from Tiffany in 2019. I'm sure your 300 wedding guests will have interesting questions about why nobody saw this priceless heirloom at your 2015 ceremony. Also, feel free to file those theft charges. I'd love to present my receipt in court while you explain under oath how your still living grandmother passed down her ring before she died. She went silent on the ring topic for about a week, then apparently decided to take my advice about posting. Put up this long, dramatic social media post about how her ex-husband had stolen her grandmother's priceless heirloom during the divorce, how it was worth over 50,000 and had been in her family for 3 generations, how I was a thief and a monster who'd violated everything decent. Within hours, people who'd been at our wedding started commenting. "Wait, I thought you said that ring was new at your anniversary party?" Another one. "Didn't you post photos when you first got that ring in 2019 saying it was an anniversary gift?" Someone else. "Your grandmother lives in Boca Raton. I saw her last month. She's definitely not dead." Jade deleted the post within 4 hours, but screenshots had already spread, made herself look completely unstable to everyone who mattered. Through mutual acquaintances' social media, I watched what was happening with Tide from Australia. Turns out Tide's fitness influencer career depended heavily on corporate sponsors, supplement companies, gym equipment brands, athletic wear. Once Jade's affair became public knowledge and all the evidence got leaked online somehow, his sponsors started distancing themselves. Nobody wants their protein powder associated with a guy who broke up a marriage. Tide lost 3 major sponsorship deals within a month. His social media engagement dropped because people started calling him out in comments. His personal training clients at the high-end gym quit because their wives didn't want them working with someone known for sleeping with married women. The gym eventually let him go to avoid the drama. Turns out being the other man isn't great for business when your business is based on image. Jade tried reaching out to Tide for support during the divorce. He ghosted her completely, blocked her number, blocked her on social media, disappeared. Without my money funding their lifestyle and without his income from sponsorships, Tide wanted nothing to do with her. He'd been using her just as much as she'd been using me. The divorce dragged on for months. Jade's lawyers tried everything, filed motions claiming I'd committed fraud, demanded international asset searches, tried to freeze my offshore accounts. My attorney shut down every attempt. My offshore funds were legitimate premarital assets with paper trails proving their origin. Through social media and mutual connections I monitored from Australia, I watched Jade's acting career completely tank. Eventually, Jade had to face reality. She signed the settlement 9 months after I left, got the house with its mortgage, the joint account money she'd already taken, and her car. Total value about $240,000 after debt. Everything else I kept. My offshore accounts, my new Australian income, my stock options that had vested after separation, my retirement accounts from before marriage. My attorney sent me the final decree via email. I was officially free. Through social media monitoring and public record searches, I started piecing together more of Jade's situation. She couldn't afford the house. Her acting income was nowhere near what she'd claimed during marriage. Turned out she'd been doing maybe 3 or 4 background gigs a year, earning closer to $15,000 annually. That childhood commercial was 24 years old. She'd been living entirely off my salary. Without my income, she couldn't make the mortgage payments. The house went into foreclosure within 8 months. Public records showed Jade had to move into a 1-bedroom apartment in a mediocre part of town. Her designer furniture didn't fit. Estate sale websites showed her selling most of it for pennies on the dollar. 6 months after the divorce finalized, I got a Facebook message from Jade's younger sister, Melissa. We'd always gotten along well. She wanted to apologize for her family's initial reaction. Said she'd always suspected there was more to the story than Jade had told them. Jade had to move back in with her parents in Austin, living in her childhood bedroom at 30 years old. Her parents weren't happy about it. Her mother, who'd been so supportive initially, was less sympathetic once she learned the complete truth. Whatever remained of Tide's reputation disintegrated. His social media became unusable from harassment. He deleted all his accounts and apparently moved to another state. Some people said Arizona, others said Nevada. Either way, he was done in Houston. His entire influencer lifestyle collapsed. Jade saw those posts, realized Tide had been using her specifically because she had access to my money, that he'd never loved her, that she'd thrown away her marriage for someone who saw her as a meal ticket. According to Melissa, Jade spent days crying about it. The actress who'd played so many roles couldn't handle the reality of her own life. Jade's parents finally understood their daughter was responsible for her own situation. Her father told her directly that she made her choices and now had to live with them. That lecture apparently didn't go well. Jade screamed that they were supposed to support her no matter what. Her father responded that support doesn't mean enabling delusion. The ring sits in my desk drawer in Australia. I look at it sometimes. Not because I want it, but because I know Jade thinks about it constantly. Knows she lost something she valued because of her own choices. That's worth more than any money. Life in Australia has been everything I needed. Since I don't talk to my family for reasons I can't talk about here, moving away was easy. I made friends through work and local sporting clubs. I started surfing, which I never would have tried in Houston. The first time I caught a wave properly, I understood why people get addicted to it. There's something about reading the ocean, timing your movement, feeling that rush of momentum carrying you forward. It's the opposite of my old life where I was always fighting against the current. Met someone new about 5 months in. Her name's Isla. She's a marine biologist researching coral restoration on the Great Barrier Reef. We met at a beach cleanup event, both of us volunteering on a Saturday morning. We've been dating for 4 months now. She knows about Jade but doesn't dwell on it. Says everyone has a past, and what matters is who I am now. When I told her the full story one night, she just shook her head and said some people spend their whole lives chasing the next shiny thing without realizing what they already had. Then she asked if I wanted to go diving the next weekend. That's Isla. No drama, no judgment, just moving forward. My work situation evolved nicely. The Brisbane company offered me a permanent senior position with equity after 6 months. My income increased to about $180,000 USD equivalent. Combined with my offshore investments and growing them strategically through a good financial advisor here, I'm set. Better than set, actually. My cost of living is lower, my stress is gone, and my bank account keeps growing. Isla and I recently moved in together. Found a beautiful place in Alexandra Headland with ocean views from the balcony. Then 3 weeks ago, I was coming home from the office on a Friday afternoon. Pulled into my driveway and saw someone sitting on my front steps. At first, I thought it was a neighbor or maybe a delivery person. Then she stood up. Jade. She looked rough. Hair that needed washing, clothes that had seen better days, carrying a single backpack. She'd lost weight, but not in a healthy way. Her face lit up when she saw me, like I was her salvation. Started walking toward my car. I got out slowly, keeping my distance. What are you doing here? She smiled. That same manipulative smile I'd seen 1,000 times. I came to talk. We need to have a conversation face to face. We don't need anything. How did you even find this address? I hired someone. Took months and most of what I had left. She stepped closer. I sold everything. Took out a loan. Bought a one-way ticket. I'm not leaving until we work this out. I just stared at her. She'd actually done it. Burned whatever bridges she had left. Scraped together enough money for an international flight and shown up uninvited. The delusion was impressive. Before I could respond, Isla pulled up in her car. She'd been at the research station and was coming home for the weekend. She parked next to mine, got out, and immediately assessed the situation. Looked at Jade, looked at me, then walked over and stood next to me. Put her hand on my arm. Jade's face changed when she realized who Isla was. The smile vanished. Is this your girlfriend? Yes. Her eyes went cold. She needs to leave. We need privacy to discuss our marriage. Isla just laughed. Your marriage ended over a year ago. He's perfectly happy now. Jade ignored her, turned back to me. I made mistakes, but I've changed. Tide used me. I was vulnerable, made poor choices. Her voice cracked. Everything I did was because our marriage had problems you ignored. If you'd paid more attention to my needs, I never would have strayed. I laughed. So that's the story you're going with? I'm saying we both contributed to what happened. Marriage is complicated, but I'm here now, ready to fix things. She started crying. I lost everything. My career, my home, my family's respect. You abandoned me when I needed you most. That's why I came. To help you see that you made mistakes too. We can rebuild together. Rebuild? I almost laughed. You think I need rebuilding? You can't be happy living alone in some foreign country. She wiped her eyes. I know you. You need someone. That's why I'm here. To help you. Help myself? The absurdity hit me. I'm doing great, actually. You can't be. Not without me. She reached out like she was going to touch me. I know you have the ring. My grandmother's ring. You stole it to hurt me. If you have any decency left, you'll return it and we'll figure out how to move forward together. Isla stepped between us before I could respond. You need to leave. This is harassment. He made it clear he wants no contact. Jade lost it. Started screaming about how Isla is a homewrecker. You're just some random woman who doesn't understand what we had together. He's my husband. We have history. She called Isla names I won't repeat, her voice getting louder with each word. He abandoned me, and now he's parading around with someone new while I suffer for mistakes we both made. This is my life he destroyed? A neighbor came out, older guy from 2 houses down. Everything all right here, mate? No, I said. We have an unwanted visitor who won't leave. Maybe I'll call the police. Jade realized she'd messed up. Tried backtracking, her voice suddenly softer. I'm just emotional because I traveled so far. I just want to talk. You owe me at least a conversation after everything we've been through together. After all I sacrificed for you. I looked at her standing there, playing the victim one more time, blaming everyone but herself. I don't owe you anything. You made your choices. Live with them. You're not my problem anymore. Leave. I have nowhere to go. I spent everything to get here. You can't just throw me out on the street. Watch me. The police arrived within 10 minutes. 2 officers. I explained the situation calmly. Showed them the divorce decree. Legal letters establishing no contact. Jade's LinkedIn message where I'd told her not to contact me. They asked Jade for her side. She tried playing the victim again. Said I was her husband, that she just wanted to talk, that my girlfriend had attacked her verbally, that I'd stolen her property, and she had every right to be here. We're divorced, I said, keeping my voice level. She has no legal relationship to me. I've made it clear through legal channels that I want no contact. She showed up at my home uninvited, refused to leave when asked, and created a disturbance. The officers weren't buying Jade's story. One of them turned to her. Ma'am, you need to leave this property immediately. I can't. I have nowhere to go. I spent everything I had to come here and fix what he broke. That's not our problem. If you don't leave voluntarily, we'll have to arrest you for trespassing. Jade refused to move. Started crying again, saying she had nowhere to go, that she'd spent everything to get here, that this was her last chance to save her life. The officers tried reasoning with her for a few minutes. She wouldn't budge. Finally, one of them took me aside. Do you want to press charges for harassment and trespassing? I didn't hesitate. Yes. They arrested Jade on the spot. Put her in handcuffs while she screamed about how I was ruining her life. This is all your fault. You stole from me. You abandoned me. You destroyed everything. All I wanted was to talk and you're having me arrested like some criminal. You can't do this to me. We're married. We have history. That means something. We were married. Past tense. Now you're just someone who won't take no for an answer. She kept screaming as they walked her to the patrol car. About the ring. About how I'd stolen her grandmother's heirloom. About how this was all my fault. About how I'd destroyed her life by abandoning her. The neighbor was watching, recording on his phone. Jade made a complete scene in front of witnesses. The officers drove her away. One stayed behind to take my statement and give me a case number. Said Jade would likely be held overnight, then face a magistrate. Might be deported back to the US depending on her visa status and the charges. Isla and I went inside. She looked at me for a long moment. You all right? Yeah. Just surprised she actually went this far. The next day I got a call from the local police station. Jade had been charged with harassment and trespassing. She'd been ordered to have no contact with me. Because she'd entered Australia on a tourist visa and committed a crime, immigration was involved. She was being held pending deportation proceedings. Jade's parents called me later that afternoon. Her mother apologized profusely, said they'd warned Jade not to do this, that they'd refused to help her buy the ticket, that Jade had sold her car, borrowed money from anyone who'd lend it, scraped together just enough for a one-way ticket with no plan for what happened next, said they were embarrassed and horrified by what she'd done. 3 days later, Jade was deported, put on a flight back to the United States with a ban on returning to Australia for 3 years minimum. Public records and mutual connections showed Jade's parents had to pick her up at the airport in Houston, that she'd come back with nothing but her backpack and a criminal record. Last I heard through online searches and social media, Jade was living in some extended stay motel outside of Houston, working part-time at a fast food place. Still in debt from the loan she took out for the Australia ticket. Still banned from entering an entire continent. Still blaming everyone but herself for how her life turned out. Still telling anyone who'd listen that I owed her money and stole her grandmother's ring. Meanwhile, I'm here in Australia with Isla. We're planning to get engaged next year. My career is thriving. My investments are growing. I surf most mornings, spend weekends exploring this incredible country, live exactly the life I want. Jade wanted half of everything I'd built. She got nothing but the consequences of her own actions. Lost her marriage, her affair partner, her career, her reputation, her family's support, her freedom to enter an entire continent, and even that ring she'd lied about for years. Tide lost his influencer career, his sponsors, his reputation, and had to start over in a different state with nothing. I protected everything that mattered, built something better than I had before, and never looked back. Jade came home from her fake vacation expecting business as usual. Instead, she found divorce papers and evidence of her year-long affair. I was already gone, living on another continent, completely out of reach. She couldn't manipulate, couldn't negotiate, couldn't cry her way out of it. Just cold reality and legal consequences. Then she flew across the world on a one-way ticket, thinking she could manipulate me one more time. Instead, she got arrested, deported, and proved to everyone that she'd learned absolutely nothing. That's the perfect ending to her story. She gambled everything on one last desperate play and lost completely. The ring still sits in my drawer. I showed it to Isla properly one night. Told her the whole story about how Jade convinced everyone it was an heirloom when I'd literally watched her open the box from the jeweler on our anniversary. Isla laughed and said that was next-level delusion. Then she asked what I was going to do with it. I thought about it. Said maybe I'd sell it eventually, or donate it, or just keep it as a reminder of what happens when someone chooses lies over reality. Isla said whatever I decided was fine with her. Said she didn't need expensive jewelry to know I valued her. That's the difference. Isla doesn't need external validation or material proof. Jade wanted everything without earning any of it. Wanted the lifestyle, the status, the money, all while contributing nothing and cheating on the side. She thought she was clever enough to have it all. Thought she could manipulate her way out of consequences. She was wrong. And now she's living in a motel, working fast food, banned from an entire continent, with everyone who ever cared about her finally seeing who she really is. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.